Who remembers what the word geminate means?
Twin.
Yes, twin. So Gemini are twins. So which consonants of the three are twins? Second and third. Very good. So let's go over any parsing questions about these. Anybody have any specific parsing issues they want to ask about on 39? Number 12. Okay, so number 12 we have ye ra u, right? Ye ra u. Who wants to take a stab at this? What do we see going on here?
Well, I think it's a cow. And I think that Ross actually has something to say about this one. So you had something to say about it. You had a very long note. Yes, it was very long.
Yeah?
But yeah, it's basically a cow, and it's a imperfect cow. We can tell that it's an imperfect because of the yod that's sitting out there.
Okay, so cal, imperfect. From what verbal root?
Ra'a.
Okay, so ra-a. Okay.
So you have the cow imperfect there.
Okay, and so if I'm seeing the resh ayin, that's 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
Then I've got yod and shurik on the opposite sides. What's that?
So the shurd would be 3 and P.
Mm-hmm.
And the yod also indicates that it's the third masculine.
Mm-hmm.
It indicates that it's a third person at the very least.
Okay, great. Now, what does ra'a mean?
It means
To be evil. To be evil, bad. Okay, good. So we'll translate that as
they will be bad.
they will be bad. Okay, great. Now, how do you explain what we're looking at in terms of the vowel pointing?
So I found Ross's note on 286 helpful
Mm-hmm.
because he said if the verb is stated in the prefix vowel sere and the theme vowel is patah.
Yes.
So,
And what's the sample verb he gives? It's, yeah, so kalal, which means to be light. Isn't there's a Superman character named is it Kal-El, right? That's Superman. Yes. Well, see, he's light-footed. Anyhow, this means to be light or slight or trifling. And the cal imperfect is ye kal. Okay, so you don't see the two root letters of lamed. They're only written once, and we have an I class, A class pattern.
and the reason that there's a commence right there is because you can't link that. You can't put a Dublin dot in the ion, so you have to link them through the vowel.
Exactly.
That's why that one's a little unusual.
Yes. So the form that we would have looked at in our paradigm verb would have been ye kalu with a doubling dot there. Ye kalu. And the accent would actually be here. Ye kalu. And so this would have been ye ra'u, like that. And when you dismiss the doubling dot, you compensatorily lengthen the pathak. Okay? That's what happens there. So that's it. That's a hard one. Yes.
So when we were working on that yesterday, we were able to get the imperfect and the 3 and P, but how do you know it can't be a hifil? Since the hifil would also, I guess you know because of the prefix vowel.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You'd be looking for an A-class vowel here, right? Yeah.
It'd be
Yabol. Ya. So yareu. And you'd be getting an I-class vowel over here. Mm-hmm. So ya seu. Yareu. You would expect a sere here. Mm-hmm. All right, good. Other questions? Thank you for asking that one. That's a nasty, naughty one. Yes, number 10. Here we go. Number 10. So we have musibim. Musibim. Say that with me. Sounds like something's messy. Musibim. All right. So I have a mem over here and an eem over here. That is a dead giveaway that this is what kind of verb form? Participle. How many of your stems have participles that start with a mem prefix? Yeah, in other words, all of them, all participles start with a mem prefix except cal and nifal, the first two. Okay? So if you see a mem and an eem, you're almost guaranteed to be looking at a participle. And with the eem, it's what gender number? Masculine plural. Okay, so we've almost got it parsed just by knowing the front and back. But looking in the middle now, if the mem is part of the participle and the eem is part of the gender number, then I'm only left with two consonants in the middle, right? What about that dot? It's a doubling dot, which means I really have three consonants represented here, right? So savav. And the participle then has to be one of the participles after the nifal. Piel, puel, hifil, hofal, hithpael. So what do we do with this? Well, the most important thing to look for is the theme vowel here, right? That's an I class. Okay? My hifil participle, when it's uninflected, will have a full vowel here, but it's reduced to a vocal shava given that I've added an ending here. Okay? But it's so that's going to obscure things for me. This Keurig, that I class vowel, is really what's going to be important to notice. So your theme vowels are critical here. Okay? So what does savav mean? To surround, to go around, turn around, and the hifil will just make that causative. You could lead someone around something, bring them around.
Basically causing something to turn.
Yeah, you could cause something to turn around an object. Yeah, and that's to be distinguished from shuv, which means to return. Like John returned to the bank. Okay, like he himself went to the bank. He went back to the bank, right? Or the hifil of shuv is to turn someone back the opposite direction. So the prophets turned back the nation, caused them to return to God, for example. All right. Well, any final questions on parsing?
I had actually for number 10 originally put peel. And I kind of was confused as to why between the hifil and the peel.
Yeah. Good. That's a great question. If it were the PL, remember we have the PL of pakad would be m, fa, kade. Okay, I'd have the vocal shava, which you do have here, but the PL participle gets an A vowel under root 1 and always doubling in root 2. And then I'm going to be looking for a serre under it and then a third root letter. Okay? So if this were a PL, it would be m, sa, b, or musab, bavim.
And why does the PL have an A-class vowel?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, PLs historically always had A-class vowels under root 1. So
Is that why someone,
remember in Aramaic, the PL is really a pa'el.
that's
Yes.
why it's like, I think it's a how do you say something?
Muraoka?
Yeah, in his grammar, he calls it a PL/a pile.
Yeah.
Figured
Yeah.
that's why.
Okay. Right. So halal is our verb that we use in this chapter for PL. So the participle would have been mahalel. Add the eem, mahalalim, and this would go to a vocal shava. Okay, so mahalalim.
We also look at 20 real quick.
hmm
So that one,
So nashim.
yeah, I mainly couldn't explain the doubling dot and, well, I mean, there's pretty much 2 qualifications for a bunch of different options, but none that had like all the qualifications. I think it is from Shamam, right?
Okay, so shin, mem, mem.
Almost.
How many of you thought it was women? Okay. Yeah. Right. But it sure makes you think of women, doesn't it? Ross is going to get in trouble. Ross makes us think of women here. Okay. So, but how would you spell women in Hebrew? Kametz, and no dogish forte there. Na, shim. Okay. So all the same consonants, and really all the same vowel classes. So nashim.
This is a nifal, right?
Okay. So yeah. So what are we looking at here?
I think it's,
What do you do with that Kirik Yod in the middle here?
at first I thought it was telling us it was a hifil,
Yeah.
because the class there in the middle. But I couldn't really explain the noon and couldn't remember why it would have shown up in a hifil.
Yeah. So what's the noon doing? Okay. So this is a prefix noon. When you have prefix noons, what are your possibilities?
Like imperfect.
Okay. So 1 CP noon or nifal prefix noon, right? So which is it here?
See, the entry for this word in the vocab list at the end of lesson 39 indicates there's 2 forms of the hifil and perfect of Shemam. The normal geminate form is Yashem, reference Yah, save, and a form which it mimics a first noon verb and
Uh-huh.
perfect.
So
Yashim is what we have here. The hifil perfect of the first noon, Nagad, is similar to that.
mhm. Right. So it's basically following like nua for the hollow verbs, right? Where you could use a short vowel and double root one and close the syllable, or you can leave the syllable open and not double, and it has to be the long vowel there, right? Okay. So if we take it as that, which really then is an alternate for a long A and no doubling dot here, then that noon is a prefix noon, and the Kirik Yod is marking this as a hifil stem. Okay, so hifil imperfect 1 CP from Shamam. So this is a situation where we've got geminate verb behaving similarly to a hollow verb.
Are there other verbs that behave like a 1 noon?
Um,
Or is there a certain like way to tell if they're going to behave like a 1 noon?
Really, you only know based on whether you actually see it in use, and then you say, "Oh, okay, this verb exhibits variable behavior." Okay, so let's look at number 6 here. Number 6. Why don't you say this with me? Yimarer. Yimarer. So, what do you see? Do you see 3 root letters?
Yes.
Oh, isn't that nice? So sometimes we actually do get to see the root letters we're looking for, right? 1, 2, 3. Marar? Does that mean anything? Okay, to be bitter. To be bitter. And we have a yod prefix here, don't we? So what does that tell us? All right, so good candidate for being an imperfect. Could be jussive just as well. And with the yod prefix, no suffix, this is 3ms. Okay, here's the question. What stem are we looking at here? P, L? How do you know that?
Because the PL is the only one that, the PL and Pual always have a vocal shiva.
Okay, so PL and Puals get the vocal shiva here. How can you tell whether it's PL or Pual then? Yeah, you look at these next vowels. Okay, what would the Pual's vowel be here under the meme? it would be a kibbutz, right? Yamu, Yamurar, Yumurar. Okay? Like pakad becomes yafukad. Okay? If you look at your principal parts page, you would see that kind of vowel pointing. But here we have the a pattern. That is PL, not pual. So very good. So it's a PL imperfect or jussive and 3MS.
Just a little question on that.
Uh-huh.
Since the PL, because of the race, has the thought lengthened, is the kibbutz also lengthened in the pual?
Yes, exactly. That's a very good point. So the pathak is normally the PL vowel pointing under root 1 in the imperfect, and the pual is normally kibbutz, but with that resh there, we want to see a doubling dot. That's one of our diagnostic features of the PL and pual is doubling in root 2. Resh rejects it, and that causes compensatory lengthening. So that's why that's a kametz and not a pathak. It goes from a short A to a long A. What would the kibbutz become due to compensatory lengthening if we had to lengthen it? No. It would become holum. Holum. Remember, in our chart, we're bumping one step up. So the vowel under root 1 is a tone short A and U for PL and pual. They become tone long A and U. Tone long A is kametz, not kamete, right? And the tone long U class is holum. So that's what it becomes. All right, very good. So thankfully, with these geminate verbs, when they follow a PL pual pattern, they're easy to detect for the most part. If you remember what Naomi says to Ruth when she returns, don't call me Naomi, which means pleasant. Call me Mara, which is related to this verbal root, which means bitter. That's right. That's right. The adjective mar looks like this. Okay, that's a masculine singular adjective. There is an implied doubling dot here. When you add the kamete for the feminine singular of mar, for bitter, there should have been a dagesh forte that drops in. If you remember, monosyllabic words with a changeable vowel have a dagesh forte that is being carried around by these black Hebrew helicopters. Remember that? They want to drop that dagesh forte in. Now the resh is going to say, no way, Jose. And so the pathak is going to lengthen compensatorily. And so when you see Mara in the book of Ruth, those of you that are doing the second class, that's what you're gonna see here. That's her name, Mara, or that's what she calls herself. Now in the Cal, marar is to be bitter, and its sense in the PL here, according to our vocab, is to show bitterness. Let's look at number 3. Say this with me: sobu, et ha'ir. All right. So what's et ha'ir? Well, that would be El Ha'ir, right? Et Ha'ir is just the city. Yeah, if that's a direct object marker. Okay? And yeah. So we don't want to translate the et here, do we? Since it's just marking the direct object of that verb. So we'll now dispense with this. We want to focus on sobu. How many root letters do I see?
You see 3 actually.
You see 3? You have an electron microscope? That Hebrew microscope?
You actually see because of the doubling dot.
Yeah.
Inside there, so.
So I technically only see 2 consonants, but the doubling dot represents another bet, right? Okay, good. Is that a vocab word we know? Absolutely, and it means to surround. Good. Now, look at the form here. It's sobu with a, what class vowel is that? That's U class, right? Remember, we have 3 vowel classes in Hebrew, A, I, and U. And this is the U class. Which stem features U class vowels like this when we collapse our 2-syllable kind of verbal core into 1 syllable? Yeah, the cal does that. Okay, this is a characteristic feature of the cal. Which form of the cal is this? If this is the cal, there's no prefixing, so could it be the imperfect or jussive or cohortative or anything like that? No, so where do we see cals with no prefixing at all? Imperative. What else? The infinitives. And where else does the cal not have any prefixing? The perfect. So, and the participles. Okay. Now, for Savav, what did you learn the typical cal perfect form is? There's actually 2 possibilities. Savav could be Savav, right? That's one. Or when you collapse it to 1 syllable, what is it? Sav. Sav. Just with the A class vowel. Like the typical theme vowel of a regular cal perfect, right? Pakad has a A vowel. Pakad. So this just basically borrows that theme vowel from the cal perfect. But there's only 1 syllable. So this is U class, though, not A class. So this is not the cal perfect, is it? What would the cal participle look like for Savav? Sovev. In other words, it's normal looking for its cal participle form. Sovev. Good. Good. What else did we say? The imperative. How do you form the imperative? That's right. You make it a prefix form like the imperfect, and you chop off the prefix. What's the imperfect of the cal imperfect of Savav? It's yes, Yasov. Yasov. So if we chop off that Ya, we're left with Sov. We definitely have the right theme vowel, don't we? And the fact that I've got a shurik here is going to actually confirm for me that we're dealing with a finite form, like an infinite, like an imperative. And if it's an imperative with a shurik on the backside, which person gender number is that? That'll be 2 MP because imperative is second person. Okay, great, great. Now, what's the infinitive construct going to look like with Savav? It's Sov. That's right. So that would have the same U-class vowel, but could you make sense of a shurik hanging on the back end of an infinitive construct? No. What can go on the end of an infinitive construct? Pronominal suffixes. And there aren't any just shurik pronominal suffixes. So this just wouldn't make sense as an infinitive construct. Okay? So anyhow, so this is it. So what are we commanding? Surround. Surround at Ha'ir, the city. All right. There you
It could
go.
also mean go around the city, though, right?
Yes. It could mean that too.
Go around.
You would be contrary. No,
My
I'm.
mom, when I was contrary, she'd drop me off at the YMCA 4 miles from home. And I would have to walk home
Would you really? 4 miles.
4 miles.
Yeah.
Or I'd have to run. Actually.
She should
Follow me.
have just dropped you off and just had you start running at that point. That would have been sufficient. Okay.
I was at the good age. According to her.
Any other questions?
Could this be about just the parsing, or also about the?
Well, let's start with the parsing. If anybody has any other parsing questions, happy to look at anything with you. Anybody else?
Did we cover 20 last time? I feel like we did.
We did it.
We did?
Yeah.
But was it this period or was it the next?
It was this one.
Okay, then we're good.
Yeah. So remember, this was shamam, and what happens is, well, here we've got a noon prefix representing the first common plural, but we've got a situation where the gemination or the doubling, instead of happening with a mem over here, it ends up doubling the root 1 consonant and closing the syllable. Therefore, there's no long A but a short A. So, yeah. Yeah. And he does have a comment about this on page 292, how shamam has two possible forms here for the hifil imperfect. Okay. Anything else? Let me just ask you to compare 11 and 7 with each other real quickly. With 11, we have sabotum or sabotum. Sabotum. Can you guess what the verbal root is? Savav. Okay, so that's good. We can identify that. You only see the samik and the beit, right? But there's a doubling dot. What's that holam vav for? That's a helping vowel. Okay, good. And or a connecting vowel, some would call it that. And then we have 2 with a mem at the end. What in the world is this 2 doing here? What is that? Okay, yes, this is the tem or ten perfect personal ending that has modified in order to add a pronominal suffix. I know this is really stretching the gray matter, but back in chapter 24, we learned that there are a few places where we get some changes to the perfect personal endings before we can add a direct object pronoun. And this is one. Tem and ten become 2, then you add your pronoun to it, okay? So, which stem is this for a perfect we'll call it 2CP plus what pronoun is the mem? It's 3MP. Okay, so is that looking like a cow? Is that a cow perfect form? Yeah. If it were the nifal, it would have a noon in the noon nifal perfect. If it were a hifal or a hofal, it would have a hey prefix for its perfect. PL and pual, do those get prefixes in the perfect? No, but they do have a distinctive vowel under root 1, don't they? And that would be the PL. PL has I class vowel under the PL perfect root 1, right? PL. And pual gets U class vowel. Okay? So we have 3 different vowel classes, A, I, and U, and each stem gets its particular vowel class. Okay? So there you go.
Could you go over one more time why that goes to a 2? Because I found that in chapter 24, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just explain it? Because I don't know if Ross was especially clear in my head about why that was.
Yeah, he didn't really tell you why 10 and 10 become 2.
Yeah.
He just tells you that it does.
This is why, but now I don't know, I'm just kind of well, I don't really know.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and I honestly, I don't know why that form's chosen. I mean, the form before you modify it ends with mem and noon, which are consonants, right? This is a closed syllable, not an open one. When you go to 2, you're left with a vowel at the end, and it's a lot easier to add pronominal suffixes to a vowel. So perhaps that's the idea.
Could the shirk also kind of clue us in the plural, since the 3M is just the shirk and the one CP is new?
Yeah. So 1 CP would have new instead of 2, and the 3 CP would be sabu. Yes, or savavum. So my guess is that if you added a pronoun, that it probably would have used a longer form, but.